The boat rocked violently as Caleb's hand clamped down on my arm, his nails digging into my skin like he was anchoring himself to the only solid thing left in his unraveling world. "Elijah, I can't do this anymore. It's all a lie," he gasped, his voice cracking over the slap of waves against the hull. Eyes wild with a terror I'd never seen in the boy who'd always laughed off our small-town storms. In that split second, as the engine sputtered to a halt under the bruised, purple sky of Lake Michigan, I realized the weekend getaway I'd planned to fix us was about to shatter everything I thought I knew about love, loyalty, and the fragile line between brother and something more. It started 6 months earlier, back in the sticky heat of a Milwaukee summer, when Caleb and I were just two kids fresh out of high school, clinging to the kind of friendship that felt invincible. We'd grown up in the same rundown neighborhood on the south side, him with his single mom working double shifts at the brewery, me crashing at his place more nights than my own chaotic house with a dad who drank too much and a mom who'd checked out years ago. Caleb was the golden boy, tousled blonde hair that caught the sun like wheat fields, a grin that could disarm anyone, and a quiet strength that made him the guy everyone turned to when shit hit the fan. Me? I was the shadow, dark-haired, wiry, always sketching in notebooks instead of joining the football huddles, harboring secrets I buried deeper than Lake Michigan shipwrecks. We've been inseparable since 3rd grade, when he defended me from a bully who called me fairy for drawing flowers instead of trucks. "He's cooler than you anyway, Kyle," Caleb had said, punching the kid square in the nose without breaking a sweat. From then on, it was us against the world, sneaking into Brewers games through the outfield fence, chain-smoking stolen cigarettes behind the rusted silos, dreaming about escaping to Chicago or New York where life wasn't just Rust Belt grind. But lately, something had shifted. Caleb's laughs came shorter, his eyes darting away when our knees brushed during movie nights on his sagging couch. I'd catch him staring at me across the dinner table, fork halfway to his mouth, like he was memorizing my face for a test he was terrified to fail. I chalked it up to senior slump, the pressure of college apps and part-time jobs at the auto shop. But deep down, I knew it was more. I'd felt it too, that electric hum under my skin whenever he slung an arm around my shoulders, the way my chest tightened when he'd crash at my place, and we'd talk until dawn about everything and nothing. In a town where gay was still whispered like a curse, admitting it would have been suicide. So we danced around it, two idiots pretending the tension was just bromance, the kind straight guys in flannel ads were supposed to have. The idea for the lake trip hit me one humid August night after a blowout fight with my dad. He found my sketchbook, pages filled with portraits of Caleb, his jawline sharp under diner neon, his eyes soft in the rain, and hurled it into the yard like it was toxic waste. "You're turning into your mother. Boy, soft and useless," he bellowed, his breath reeking of cheap whiskey. I bolted to Caleb's, pounding on the door until he yanked it open, shirtless and bleary-eyed from sleep. Without a word, he pulled me inside, wrapped me in a bear hug that smelled like laundry detergent and home, and let me sob into his shoulder until the storm passed. That night, as we lay on his twin bed staring at the water-stained ceiling, I spilled it all, the sketches, the fear, the gnawing ache I couldn't name. He listened, thumb tracing lazy circles on my wrist, his silence heavier than any confession. When I finally trailed off, he murmured, "Let's get out of here. Eli, just you and me. The lake house my uncle left me, it's empty this fall. We can fish, drink shitty beer, pretend the world's not closing in." His voice was steady, but his grip tightened, like he was convincing himself as much as me. I said yes before my brain caught up. It felt like salvation, a weekend to breathe, to figure out if the pull between us was mutual or just my desperate imagination. We scraped together gas money from odd jobs, packed my beat-up Ford with coolers and tents, and hit the road at dawn, windows down, blasting Springsteen as the city skyline faded in the rear view. The drive north through Wisconsin's dairy farms was pure freedom. Cornfields stretching like golden oceans. Billboards for cheese curds and Packers gear flashing by. Caleb drummed on the dash, singing off-key about born-to-run glory. And for those 4 hours, I let myself believe we could outrun the shadows. The lake house was a relic, peeling white-clabbered on a bluff overlooking Green Bay's chilly waters, the kind of place that screamed faded American dream. Inside, it smelled of pine and neglect, creaky floors, a stone fireplace stacked with yellowed logs, faded photos of stern-faced fishermen lining the walls. We claimed the loft bedroom with its twin beds pushed against opposite walls, a silent agreement to keep things normal. That first night, we grilled burgers on a rusty Weber, cracked open PBRs, and watched the sun dip behind the bluffs, painting the lake in strokes of fire. Caleb's laughter echoed off the water as he recounted dumb stories from shop class, how he'd fixed a foreman's truck with duct tape and prayer, but his eyes kept drifting to me, lingering a beat too long. By the second morning, the air between us thickened like fog off the bay. We'd hiked the bluff trail, sweat-soaked and breathless, collapsing at the overlook where the world dropped away to endless blue. "This is it, man," Caleb said, flopping onto the grass, his chest heaving. No dads yelling, no small-town stares. Just us. He turned his head, grass tickling his cheek, and our gazes locked. Time stretched, the wind whispering secrets through the pines. I wanted to bridge the gap, to say what my heart had been screaming for years, but fear clamped my throat shut. Instead, I punched his arm lightly. "Yeah, just us losers." That afternoon, we took the old aluminum boat out, Caleb's uncle's pride, patched with Bondo and optimism. He handled the tiller like a pro, guiding us to a quiet cove where the water ran deep and still. We dropped lines for walleye, the sun beating down as we bullshitted about the future, him studying engineering at UW-Madison, me chasing art school dreams in the city. But under the banter, cracks showed. Caleb's phone buzzed incessantly, texts he silenced without looking, his jaw clenching each time. "Family stuff," he muttered when I asked, but his voice was edged with something raw, like a wire about to snap. As the sun arced low, casting long shadows across the deck, he reeled in his line, empty-handed, and tossed the pole aside. "Eli, there's something I gotta tell you." His words hung heavy, the boat creaking in protest as he shifted closer. My heart hammered. Was this it? The confession I'd replayed in 1,000 fever dreams? But then his face crumpled, not with longing, but with a guilt that twisted like a knife. "It's about my mom. And me. Shit. I don't even know where to start." He poured it out in fragments. How his mom, Lisa, had been hiding cancer for months, the chemo bills piling up like unpaid mortgages. She'd taken a second job, then a third, but it wasn't enough. Desperate, she'd confessed to him one night over lukewarm coffee that she'd dipped into his college fund, the one his dad had left before bailing when Caleb was 5. She swore it'd be temporary, just a loan from the bank of someday, he said, voice breaking. But now it's gone. Eli. All of it. And I covered for her. Lied to the bank. Forged papers to buy time. I'm in so deep. If they find out, it's fraud. Prison. Everything we planned, poof. I stared at him, the world tilting. Caleb, my rock, the guy who'd always played it straight, had cracked under the weight of secrets that weren't even his. "Why didn't you tell me?" I whispered, anger bubbling up hot and unbidden. We could have figured it out together, fundraisers, side gigs. Hell, I would have sold my kidney, because I didn't want to drag you down, he exploded, slamming his fist on the gunnel. The boat lurched, water sloshing over the sides. You're the one good thing in my life. Eli, the only one who sees me, not the screw-up kid with the drunk dad and the dying mom. If I lost you, he trailed off, eyes glistening, and in that vulnerability, I saw it, the depth of his feelings, mirroring my own buried terror. We didn't speak for the rest of the drift back, the silence thicker than the gathering dusk. Docking at the house, he vanished into the woods with a six-pack, leaving me to stoke the fire and wrestle with the storm in my chest. Betrayal stung, not at him, but at the universe for stacking the deck so high against us. As flames crackled, casting flickering shadows, I realized this trip wasn't just escape, it was a reckoning. For him, for me, for whatever fragile thing we were too scared to name. That night, sleep evaded me like a thief in the dark. I lay on my lumpy mattress, the loft's slanted ceiling pressing down like the weight of unspoken truths, listening to the lake lap against the shore in relentless rhythm. Caleb's snores filtered from the other bed, fitful, ragged, like his dreams were battles he couldn't win. Every creak of the house echoed my racing thoughts, fraud charges, shattered futures, the way his confession had peeled back layers I'd never glimpsed. But beneath the fury, a deeper ache bloomed, the fear that his secrets had created a chasm I couldn't cross, that the boy I'd loved in silence might slip away forever. Dawn broke gray and unforgiving, mist cloaking the bay like a shroud. I found him on the porch, nursing black coffee from a chipped mug, his face haggard under the stubble. I'm sorry, he said without preamble, not meeting my eyes, for dumping it on you like that. You deserve better than my mess. I slid into the rocker beside him, the wood groaning under our shared exhaustion. It's not about deserving. Gal. It's about trust. You shut me out when I thought we were in this together. The words tasted bitter, laced with the hurt I'd nursed through the night. He nodded, slow and defeated, and for a moment, we sat in that fragile truce, the world reduced to the steam rising from his cup and the distant cry of a loon. We spent the morning pretending, hauling firewood, scrubbing the boat's algae-streaked hull, anything to keep hands busy and mouth shut. But tension simmered, bubbling up in small eruptions, a snapped tow line that sent the motor plunging into the shallows. Caleb's curse-laced dive to retrieve it mirroring the dive our friendship had taken. By lunch, we'd cracked open sandwiches on the dock, feet dangling over the edge, when his phone shattered the illusion again. This time, he answered, voice low and urgent. Yeah, Mom, I'm fine. No, nothing's wrong, just the signal spotty. A pause. Then his face drained of color. What do you mean the bank's calling? You said you'd handle it. He hung up, hurling the phone into the grass like it burned. She's cracking. Eli told the counselor at the hospital everything. Thinks confessing will lift the curse or some bullshit. Now, the cops might come sniffing, and if they trace it to me, he buried his head in his hands, shoulders shaking. I reached out, instinct overriding anger, my palm warm against his back. We'll fight it. Together. Call a lawyer. There's free clinics in Milwaukee, or I can hit up my aunt in Chicago. She's a paralegal. His laugh was hollow, echoing off the water. Fight what? My whole life's a house of cards. And you, God, Eli, you shouldn't be here. Go back. Pretend you never knew. The rejection hit like a slap. But worse was the undercurrent, the way he pulled away, not just physically, but like he was carving out space to protect me. Or himself. That's bullshit, I shot back. heat rising. You don't get to decide that for me. We're not kids anymore. We don't run from this crap. The argument escalated as the afternoon wore on, words flying like sparks from flint. He accused me of naivety, of painting our bond in romantic hues when reality was grit and ruin. I fired back that his martyr complex was just fear of leaning on someone, of admitting he needed more than stoic silence. Is that what this is? I demanded, voice raw as we paced the bluff trail, leaves crunching underfoot like brittle bones. You push me away because you're scared I'll see the real you, the one who's not perfect, not the hero. He whirled on me, eyes blazing. You think I don't see you? Eli, the sketches, the looks I've known for years. And yeah, it scares the hell out of me, because in this town, what do we want? It's a one-way ticket to hell. Or worse, losing the only person who makes it bearable. The admission hung between us, electric and terrifying. The trail narrowing to a precipice where pines whispered judgments. My breath caught. This was it. The truth we'd skirted like embers. But before I could respond, his phone buzzed again, shattering the moment. A text from an unknown number. We need to talk. About the lake house deed. Uncle Ray. Caleb's face went ashen. My uncle. He's the one who signed it over. If he finds out about the fraud, he'll contest everything. Panic edged his voice. And suddenly, the weekend's escape morphed into a trap. We raced back to the house, digging through dusty file cabinets for the deed, fingers smudged with ink and regret. That's when we uncovered it, a yellowed envelope tucked behind tax forms, addressed to Caleb in his mother's shaky script. Inside, a letter dated 2 years back, confessing not just a fun theft, but something deeper, a one-night stand with Uncle Ray that had produced Caleb, the miracle she'd raised alone after Ray bailed, too ashamed to claim his own blood. The revelation hit like a nor'easter. Caleb crumpled to the floor, the letter fluttering like a dying bird. I'm not even his nephew. I'm his son, and he never knew or didn't care. Sobs racked him, raw and unfiltered, and I dropped beside him, pulling him close despite the chaos. His body trembled against mine, the scent of salt and pine filling my lungs. And in that broken embrace, barriers dissolved. You're still you. Cal, I whispered, my lips brushing his temple. That's all that matters. We'll face this, your mom, the bank, Ray. As a team, he lifted his head, eyes red-rimmed, but searching mine, and for the first time, no wall stood between us. His hand cupped my cheek, thumb tracing the line of my jaw, and the world narrowed to that touch, tentative, profound, a bridge over the abyss. I love you. Eli, he breathed, the words of vow forged in fire. Not as a friend. More. Always more. My heart soared, crashing against ribs like waves on rock. And I closed the distance, our lips meeting in a kiss that tasted of desperation and dawn, soft at first, then deepening with the pent-up force of years denied. But joy is fleeting in storms. As we pulled apart, breathless and new, headlights pierced the twilight, a squad car crawling up the gravel drive, red and blue lights pulsing like accusations. Uncle Ray had called the sheriff, suspicious after Lisa's slip. The fraud web tightened, secrets unraveling faster than we could stitch them. Caleb froze, terror etching his features. Run, he urged, but I shook my head. No more hiding. Hand in hand, we stepped into the light, ready to face the tempest, not as boys fleeing shadows, but as men claiming their truth. Yet, as the deputy approached, notepad in hand, a final twist loomed. Ray himself, stepping from a passenger seat, his face a mask of regret and rage. Boy, he growled at Caleb, you've got some explaining to do. And in his eyes, I saw the unspoken, the knowledge of blood ties, the betrayal of silence. The lake, once our sanctuary, now echoed with a roar of unraveling lives. The sheriff's flashlight beam cut through the dusk like a judgment, pinning us in its glare as Ray loomed behind the deputy, his flannel shirt rumpled, face carved from the same hard oak as the bluff. Caleb's hand slipped from mine, slick with sweat, and I felt the ground shift, not just the porch boards underfoot, but the foundation of everything we'd built. Mr. Harlan, the deputy drawled, his Wisconsin accent thick as cheese curds, flipping open his pad. Got a call about some discrepancies on this property. Mind if we step inside? Ray's gaze bored into Caleb, a storm cloud of unspoken history. Go on, son. Tewing wachi you viedo. The word son landed like shrapnel, slicing through the air, and Caleb flinched as if struck. I stepped forward, heart pounding a war drum. Officer, it's a family matter, misunderstanding about funds. No crime here, but my voice faltered under the weight of half-truths, the letter burning a hole in my pocket like contraband. They herded us into the living room, the stone fireplace mocking us with its cold grate. The deputy, a burly guy named Kowalski, badge glinting, laid out the charges, embezzlement from the college fund, forged documents to secure a loan against the lake house. Lisa had confessed in a haze of pain meds, her hospital bed confession spilling to a social worker who'd looped in the bank. And Ray? He'd been the silent guarantor, his name on the deed masking the deeper lie of paternity. I knew about the boy, Ray admitted gruffly, sinking into the armchair like it might swallow him. Lisa told me years ago, begged me to stay out, said she'd handle it. But this, stealing from his future, that's on you. Caleb stood rigid, fists clenched at his sides. The boy who'd once fixed engines with bubblegum and grit now cornered like prey. It wasn't for me, he choked out. Mom's sick, cancer. The treatments, the bills. She panicked. I just tried to buy time. Kowalski's pen scratched relentlessly, each word a noose tightening. Ray's face softened a fraction, regret flickering like a faulty bulb. Blood's blood. Kid. Should have come to me. I ain't rich, but I could have helped. The interrogation dragged into hours. The room shrinking under fluorescent buzz and the tick of a wall clock that hadn't been wound since the 80s. I sat mute on the sofa's edge, my sketches forgotten in the truck, wishing I could draw us out of this. Two figures silhouetted against the lake, unbroken. When Kowalski finally holstered his notepad, promising further inquiries, the air thickened with aftermath. Ray lingered, his calloused hand hovering near Caleb's shoulder before dropping. We'll sort this. Family conference tomorrow, Milwaukee PD. Lawyers. The works. But you, he glanced at me, eyes narrowing. Stay out of it. Kid, this ain't your circus. The door clicked shut behind them, leaving silence that roared. Caleb collapsed onto the rug, back against the sofa, head in hands. It's over. Eli. College. The house. Everything. And Ray. Knowing he's my dad, it's like finding out your life's been a bad country song. I knelt beside him, fingers threading through his hair, the gesture intimate in its familiarity. It's not over. We'll appeal. Get a public defender. Your mom's fighting. So can you. He looked up, eyes haunted pools reflecting the moon through salt-streaked windows. What about us? That kiss, it was real. But now, I'm toxic. You get dragged down. Lose your dreams too. The fear in his voice clawed at me. A mirror to my own. The terror of loving someone whose world was fracturing. Screw that, I said fiercely, cupping his face. I choose this. You. The mess and all. Our foreheads touched, breaths mingling, and in that quiet anchor, we found a sliver of peace, two souls lashed together against the gale. But dawn brought no mercy. Ray returned at first light, truck rumbling like thunder, towing a trailer with his fishing gear. Pack up, he barked through the screen door. We're heading back. Lisa's stable. She wants to see you. Caleb nodded numbly, stuffing clothes into duffels while I loaded the boat onto the trailer. Muscles screaming protest. The drive south was a funeral procession, Ray at the wheel, Caleb's shotgun in brutal silence. Me crammed in the back with coolers that sloshed like unshed tears. Billboards blurred by. Welcome to Wisconsin, home of the Packers, where green and gold loyalty masked deeper divides. Milwaukee greeted us with urban grit, smokestacks belching against a leaden sky, the lakefront steel skeletons looming like accusations. At the hospital, Lisa lay frail in starched sheets, lines snaking like veins of regret. Her eyes lit when Caleb entered, but dimmed at the sight of Ray. You told him, she whispered, voice a rasp. Caleb knelt, taking her hand. Yeah, Mom. And it's okay. We're going to fix this. The reunion fractured when the social worker arrived, flanked by a bank rep in a cheap suit, papers rustling like dry leaves. Charges formalized, felony theft, restitution demands exceeding 10 grand. Probation dangled like a carrot, prison a stick. In the hallway, Ray pulled Caleb aside, their profiles etched in harsh fluorescence, father and son, strangers bound by blood and blame. I should have stepped up, Ray grunted. After your ma told me. I ran, scared of what it meant in this town. Folks talking, jobs lost. But you're mine. Boy, let me help now. Caleb's shoulders sagged, the weight lifting incrementally. Why now? After everything. Ray's laugh was bitter. Because seeing you fight for her reminds me of the man I ain't been. We'll sell the lake house. Pay it off. Start clean. It was an olive branch, gnarled but genuine, and Caleb grasped it, the first crack of healing in our shattered mosaic. Back at my place that night, a cramped apartment above the auto shop, rent paid in grease and grit. I paced the threadbare carpet while Caleb showered off the day's grime. The kiss replayed in loops, his lips tentative, then fervent, a promise amid pandemonium. When he emerged, towel around his waist, water beating on his chest, the air charged anew. Eli, he started, but I crossed the room in 3 strides, pulling him close. No more words. Just this, our bodies aligned, the embrace fierce and grounding, clothes shedding like old skins. We tumbled to the bed, explorations gentle, fingers mapping scars and freckles, breaths sinking in whispered affirmations. No rush, no conquest, just 2 hearts mending in the quiet sanctuary of touch. The cities hum a distant lullaby, yet dawn's light exposed fault lines. My dad pounded on the door at 7 a.m., reeking of last night's bender, eyes bloodshot with suspicion. Heard you've been shacked up with that Harlan kid. What's this I hear about cops? You mixed in some queer bullshit. The slur landed like venom, and I shoved him back, door slamming. Caleb, roused and rigid, overheard from the bedroom. He knows, he asked, voice small. I nodded, the confession a fresh wound. Guessed. From his sketches. But he'll come around, or he won't. Doesn't change us. It did, though, in ways I couldn't foresee. Word spread through the neighborhood like Milwaukee's winter chill, whispers at the corner bar, stares from old classmates at the gas station. Ray's help came with strings, weekly check-ins, a job at his construction firm. Caleb's independence chipped away, and Lisa's treatments dragged. each chemo round sapping her light, forcing Caleb to choose. Art school deferred. My dreams shelved as I picked up overtime to cover our rent. The breaking point crested 2 weeks later. At a family dinner Ray insisted on, awkward potluck at his split level in Wauwatosa, complete with Jell-O salad and Packers memorabilia. Tensions simmered under forced smiles, Lisa picking at her plate, Ray pontificating about pulling weight, Caleb's forced nods masking resentment. I sat silent, the outsider in this blood-tied tableau, until Ray turned to me over apple pie. You two, it's cute, the buddy thing. But life's not a rom-com. Son, Caleb needs stability, not distractions. The room froze. Fork tines scraping china like nails on chalkboard. Caleb's face flushed crimson. Dad, Ray cut him off. Don't dad me. I see how you look at him. In this family, we don't earn laundry like that. It divides. Lisa's hand trembled on her water glass. Ray, enough, but the damage seeped, a rift widening. Later, in the truck ride home, Caleb exploded. He thinks we're a phase. After everything, I gripped the wheel, knuckles white. He's scared for you, for the town. But we don't owe him our truth. We did, in the cruel math of survival. The next day, a letter arrived, bank settlement, house sold, charges dropped on condition of restitution and counseling. Code for conversion therapy referrals slipped in by Ray's lawyer buddy. Caleb stared at it, crumpling the paper. I can't. Eli. Not that. Not us. The decision loomed. A fork in the road. Bend to family pressure. Preserve the fragile peace. Or stand and risk it all. The ultimatum crystallized over cold takeout that night. Lo mein congealing on paper plates as Caleb paced my shoebox living room. The city lights flickering through grimy blinds like faulty stars. It's not just the therapy, he said, voice frayed as overwashed denim. Ray's offering a fresh start, apartment. Tuition. His name on the birth certificate finally. But he wants space from this situation. Meaning you. Each word was a chisel. Carving doubts into the foundation we'd rebuilt kiss by kiss. Touch by touch. I set down my fork. Appetite soured. So what's a play? We ghost each other like some bad high school drama. He stopped. Back to me. Shoulders bowed under an invisible yoke. I don't know. Eli. Mom's hanging by a thread if I bail on Ray now. She loses everything. Support. The house. And me? I'd be the villain who chose love over family. The irony twisted like Lake Michigan's undercurrents. The boy who'd hidden his heart for years now, bartering it for scraps of normalcy. I rose, crossing to him, hands on his arms, firm, pleading. Family's not blood. Gal. It's choice. We choose this, messy, broke, real. His eyes met mine, stormy with conflict, and for a heartbeat, I thought he'd stay. Then he pulled away, murmuring, I need time, the door clicking shut like a guillotine. The days blurred into a gray haze of absence. Shifts at the shop stretched endless. Oil changes and brake jobs blurring with memories of his laugh echoing in the bays. Texts went unanswered. Voicemails piling like autumn leaves. Miss you. Call me. Ray's truck became a fixture outside his mom's duplex. Family meetings stretching late, and rumors swirled. Caleb spotted at diners with his dad. Head bent over blueprints. The prodigal reclaimed. My own home turned battlefield. Dad's rants escalated. Beer cans clinking accusations. That fag's poisoning you. Boy, get your head straight or get out. I held my tongue, sketching furiously portraits of Caleb's profile against stormy skies. Our dock embrace frozen in charcoal, but the paper tore under pressure. Metaphors for the rip in my chest. 2 weeks in, The high school reunion invite arrived, a tacky flyer for the old gym. Class of 25 decked in cheesehead hats, promising reliving the glory. I crumpled it, but fate, that cruel puppeteer, intervened. Caleb showed, solo, jaw set, Ray's influence in the pressed shirt and wary stance. Our eyes locked across the bleachers amid bad 80s covers and lukewarm punch, the crowd parting like the Red Sea. Eli, he breathed, close enough for cologne to stir ghosts. God, I cut in, voice steel over shattering glass. You made your choice. The words were venom, born of nights curled fetal, wondering if our kiss was a fever dream. He recoiled, pain-etching lines I'd never erase. It's not that simple. Mom's in remission. Ray pulled strings for experimental treatment. But the cost. A classmate jostled past, slinging an arm around him with slurred bro love, oblivious to the fracture. See, this town's got no room for us. Ray's right. It's safer separate. Rage ignited. Hot and unbidden. Safer? For who you? Playing straight son to daddy dearest? Or me? The side character you shelve when plot thickens. Heads turned. Whispers rippling. But I pressed on, voice rising over the din. You think love's a luxury? It's the goddamn lifeline. He grabbed my elbow, dragging me to the parking lot, gravel crunching under Nikes. I love you. You idiot. That's why it hurts. Choosing means losing. You or them. Tears tracked his cheeks, illuminated by sodium lamps. And my resolve cracked. Then choose wrong. Choose us. The plea hung. A precipice. Sirens wailed distant, Milwaukee's night symphony, and in their wail, I heard our story, chaotic, resilient, American to the core. He stepped closer, forehead to mine, the reunion's muffled cheers a world away. What if I can't? But his hand found mine, fingers lacing a tether in the dark. Fate's next blow landed via phone at 3 a.m. Lisa, voice trembling. Come quick, Ray's at a heart scare. Caleb's a wreck. We raced to the ER, my 4 devouring miles. Hand on his knee the whole way, a lifeline he clutched like salvation. Ray lay pale in beeping monitors, tube snaking, but his eyes sharpened on us. You too, he rasped, beckoning. Caleb hesitated, then approached, me shadowing. I was wrong, Ray wheezed. Saw it in Lisa's eyes, how she loved alone for you. Don't repeat my mistakes. Life's too short for half measures. The confession broke dams. Ray's regrets poured, running from paternity, from a town that would have crucified him for loving Lisa openly, for the whispers that followed anyway. Be brave, son. For him, Caleb's sob echoed, raw and redemptive, and as nurses bustled, he turned to me, gaze fierce. I choose you. Eli. Us. The hell with safe. Recovery unfolded in fits. Ray's bypass surgery. Lisa's steady gains. The bank's final gavel dropping charges with restitution waived. Family settlement. Ray called it. His gruff nod my benediction. We sold the lake house. Proceeds splitting debts, but kept the doc's memory, our anchor. Caleb enrolled at community college. Engineering deferred for art classes where he sketched beside me, our hands brushing over shared easels. My dad, a grudging truce over Black Friday turkey. His sorry mumbled over pie, the first crack in his armor. Months later, under a Midwest spring sky soft as hope, we returned to the lake, not the house, but the cove, renting a slip for the old boat. As sunset bled gold across the water, Caleb's arm around my waist. He whispered, remember that night? The fight, the kiss. I nodded, heart full. How could I forget? You left me speechless. He laughed, low and true, pulling me close. Good? Because this, us, it's the story worth telling. Flawed, fierce, forever, in a hush of waves and whispering pines. We cast lines not for fish, but for futures, tangled, triumphant, ours. America's heartland had tested us, broken and remade us, but in each other's gaze. We found home, not perfect, but profoundly human.